Welcome back, family and friends. Hope you're doing good today. It's your favorite Victoria, a mother and a wife. So, today we're going to be looking at things not to say to your spouse in marriage. Sometimes we get so emotionally worked up with so many things happening around that we easily get agitated and we tend to pour out our anger on people close to us or the closest person for no fault of theirs or even little mistakes, and we find ourselves saying things that we might feel bad about later when we cool off. And marriage is a union of two different individuals with different unique personalities from different backgrounds. And the marriage of these differences is what brings out the honey in marriage. So when we are agitated or we are angered, we shouldn't pour it on our spouses by saying things that we could regret later. We should find a common ground to accommodate our spouse. And because of that, I've listed some words that we should resist saying. The first one here is, sometimes out of anger, you hear somebody saying, you are hopeless. Now, marriage is what? A union of two persons who have become one. If you tell your spouse he or she is hopeless, you're indirectly telling yourself you are hopeless. So please don't say this to your spouse. The number two thing or sentence or words not to say to your spouse is you are useless. On earth, how? Why? How could you? Why would you use that? If your spouse is useless, automatically you are useless. So please, such words should never be said to your spouse. Your spouse is is a part of you. So what you wouldn't want him or her to tell you, don't tell her. Don't say words that you will regret later, because marriage is for what? For better and for worse, until death do us part. So we pray for togetherness. We pray for the honey of the marriage to continue to build up. The third thing here not to say to your spouse is, I will divorce you if you misbehave. Oh my. Some people say that. We hear a lot of things. Somebody threatening his wife, if you misbehave, I will divorce you. So, you should know that this is a person from another background. You're coming together. Find a common ground to agree so that you will have that honey in your marriage. The fourth thing here not to say to your spouse is, I blame myself for marrying you. That is like a slap. You don't say that. Your spouse agreed, both of you agreed, and you got married. Please, for whatever reason, what will make you to say that, just hold yourself and don't say that, because you might regret it when you cool off. And the fifth one here is, you call yourself a man. Women are fond of this. Maybe for some reason or so you want to or he's not meeting up to some responsibilities, and you're chiding the man. You're telling him you call yourself a man. So if he brings out the part of him who is a man, can you stand that? Can you stand the masculinity of him in the other aspects the way you want him to show? So we shouldn't say such thing. We should appreciate our spouses at every level, and don't dehuman them. Don't dehuman your spouse. The sixth one here is, this marriage will not work. No, don't say this. Somebody will say, this marriage will not work. You got married, and when you marry this person, you are looking at eternity. Now, why would you say this marriage will not work? There is power in the tongue, Don't say it. And they say, what you say can come to pass. There is life and death in the tongue, in spoken words. So don't say words that you will regret or you feel bad about tomorrow. Another point here is calling your spouse names like swine. Ah, if your spouse is a swine, automatically you're saying what to yourself? So please don't say that. Don't call, such words should not be said to your spouse. The eighth words or sentence here not to say to your spouse is, I hate you. I don't love you anymore. Oh, how? How would you say that? Remember when you started? The love was. So please, if there's any cause for you to think you don't love your spouse anymore, remember when you started and revive that love. Don't say that. Don't say things that you regret later when you have cooled off. We shouldn't allow our emotions to always control us. So we don't say things that are out of place. And the ninth point here is, you don't tell your spouse you are ugly. You saw this person in totality and you love the person, you love the total package, and suddenly you're telling your spouse he or she is ugly. Nobody is ugly. Nobody is ugly. So don't say that. And as I said, your spouse is part of you. Two people coming together to become one. If your spouse is ugly, you are also telling yourself you are ugly. So please don't say that to your spouse. And the 10th thing here not to say to your spouse in marriage is, I don't think we are meant for each other. Oh, you just realizing it? No. When you met this person, you were like, if not you, nobody else. And now you're telling your spouse that you don't think you're meant for each other. Please don't say this to your spouse. And the 11th point here, not to tell your spouse, is, I will slap and beat you up. I know it sounds somehow, but it happens. Some spouse tell their spouse this. You hear them say, I'm going to slap you and I'll beat you up and nothing's going to happen. Man, this is a part of you. This person is your wife. This person is your husband. Why would you say that? And you want to continue staying? Please don't get violent. Don't say it, because when you say it, you might be tempted to do it. Find a way to cool off. Find a way to resolve your issues. You should not result into saying abusive words that you will regret later. It is not good for spouse to say things, because marriage is for better, for worse. After saying all this, you still staying together? How? So don't say things that you will regret that you have said. Don't say things that you regret when you cool off or when you remember you said it. Always let love reign. So thank you, and let love reign in your marriage. Peace.